Hi, everyone. It's Kelly from the Hub, here today with our friend Todd from Tabor Community Services. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well.
Good. Remember, when we talk to Todd, he teaches us how to save money in lots of different and interesting ways. We've talked about savings plans and medical expenses. We've talked about lots of different things, budgeting, ways you should be really balancing your budget. And today we were going to talk about something a little different that you might not think that Todd knows anything about, but remember, he does. He's that guy. We're going to talk about, can you fix it? Todd, why is this an important topic in the world of being frugal?
Well, I think that we've grown up, at least I think the younger generations, that things are throwaway. I know, like when I talk to my father and grandfather and everything else, they always like, we went out to the shop and we fixed all this stuff and we did all this, we made it work again. And so I'm kind of like, I think in between these two generations where I am not a handyman. I always like to tell the story that years ago I had the Handyman magazine. It used to come to my house. And then I got a phone call that said, Mr. Cavateo, your subscription is up. But we would love to be able to give you another 12 months of Handyman magazine for the low price of whatever it was. And they went on and on and on. And I said, well, unless the next magazine comes with a handyman, I don't want your magazine anymore. And they thought they didn't think it was quite as humorous as I did, and my wife who was sitting next to me at the time. And but yes, I like to joke with people that I'm not a handyman, I'm not a contractor, I'm not any one of these things. You don't want me doing your plumbing or anything like that. But that being said, there's a lot of stuff that's way smaller than the plumbing in your house that we decide, you know what, it's just not worth it. We're going to throw it away.
Yeah.
And so I can use some examples. That, like, I never worry. I know I'm not a mechanic, but over the last 25, 30 years, I've fixed all kinds of different car problems that normally before that I would have called and said, hey, Mr. Mechanic, my car's not working, come fix it, or I need to somehow get it to you. And something as simple as, it doesn't sound simple, but checking the fluids in your car. Your car will do all kinds of goofy things if it doesn't have enough oil. And detrimental things, is also as well as coolant and other fluids in the car, and just checking those things first before you might say, you know what, I don't know anything that's under the hood. When I was younger, gas station, and they would pop the hood and they'd check all the fluids for you, and then somehow that disappeared. And so you had to kind of learn it myself as I was an older teenager and into adulthood. So yeah, I have two 20 somethings living in my house, and they have no idea that I've taught them. They've gotten better at it, but feel like something's funny with my car. And the first thing we do is we go check the oil, we check the fluids and everything else, check the battery, those type of things, to draw out the simple things.
Right.
Like if you see a leak on the ground, it could be just a hose. And
Right.
you
It could
turn,
just be condensation.
yes. So you check things before you just quickly call. And that guy's kind of, I don't know, I'm sure he's not doing it. All of them are doing this, but kind of chuckling like, well, that was a really easy fix. And I can charge you $300 to do that.
Yeah. And you know what? I think a lot of that comes from now you are expected to be a specialist. Um, and it is whatever generally your job title is. And that means that you pretty much only know that thing. And you're right. I think that you and I are of a generation that's really sandwiched between the super specialists and the amazing generalists. Because I would say my grandfather was an electrician, but he could also fix a leak on the sink. He could also tune up the motor on the lawnmower. I mean, he wouldn't consider himself a handyman. He was a good generalist. He knew enough about enough things that was his MO. And you're right. And there are times when I'm like, it's too complicated. I can't even think about it. When if I took a minute, read something or watched something, I might be able to solve that problem and spend no money rather than car dealer, electrician, whatever the specialist might be. You're right. But you know that every specialist who's watching this show just went, if you don't call me, you're going to put a hole in the floor. You're going to burn your house down with your wires. And we're not saying that you cut open holes and, lick stuff and dig in the backyard and, do all those crazy things. But you're right. It's about that finding a way to be a better generalist.
Yeah, I think I know I joke with my kids that like they know the lawnmower has been MacGyvered is the way my word.
Yeah.
It didn't run and now it does. And it's not because I have any knowledge of small engine repair.
Yeah.
It's because I logically went through and eliminated things and then, oh, well, here's the problem. And went down to the hardware store, got that piece. Again, a spark plug is something that is supposed to be serviceable by the end user. Not you don't have to be a technician to be able to change out a spark plug. But it's those type of things. And to your point, I'm amazed at what the older generations were able to do without YouTube. Because you can get almost anything on there. If you have a problem, someone else has probably already have experienced it.
Yeah.
And you call up and say, hey, if my car is doing this, or my house is doing this, or whatever, my computer is doing this, we're more than happy to troubleshoot something. Like if my computer is not working, you might go on your phone and say, hey, Google, how do I fix this on this program?
Right.
And we do that, but we won't do it with the lawnmower.
Yeah. Oh, right.
So it's those type of things that you just want to go out and do a little extra legwork before you say it's done. The other example is like a printer. I have a printer sitting right here in my office. A lot of people don't know this, but if it's a cartridge type or a toner in your printer, the trick with a toner when it's getting low is you take it out and you shake it. And you put it back in, and you'll probably get another 100 pages out of it.
I can't tell you how many times I've sung "Shake your toner, shake your toner" when I'm doing that exact same thing. Yep.
Yeah. So simple things that we've learned over the years, cleaning the heads by taking like a wipe or whatever and cleaning them. You have to use certain types of wipes with those because you don't want to leave lint and stuff in there. But just going through different things with different products.
So I'm a historian, and historically, after World War II, there was this intentional thing that happened in manufacturing called planned obsolescence, because we all, and I'm using that term loosely because not all of us were ever included in all, had a lot more money after World War II. And so manufacturing said, well, you have a lot more money. I want you to spend it. So the Maytag, what's that famous commercial about Maytags? They never get broken. So that guy just sort of wanders around, the fix-it guy, because he has nothing to do. Companies made decisions. Well, why should we put in all this money to keep these, whatever they are, going? Let's make them cheaper so that people have to buy them more regularly. So that your washing machine that used to run for 40 years, I mean, my grandmother had a washing machine that ran for like 60 years, which is how the world, and now you'd be lucky to get 20 years out of a washing machine. This is not pointing fingers at anybody. This was a real conversation about planned obsolescence, which is why, I mean, TVs, I think, were that perfect thing. TVs, how many TV like repair shops were there? A lot. Yeah. Now you can't, there's one guy and he's got all the TVs ever made in the universe, and he doesn't have anything to do because no one brings him TVs anymore.
Yep.
Um, which is strange.
Yep.
It's strange.
Well, you brought up a good point with washer machines. I know my wife thinks I can fix anything. So she's always like, fix that. I don't know what's going on. So the washer machine's not working. Little known fact is, like when you have change in your pocket and other things in your pockets, it goes someplace in the device. And there's a little tube usually that just undoes, and you can empty all that stuff out. I think I made about $5 and change, and now the washing machine works again.
Right.
But
Those socks don't really disappear. They go
yeah,
somewhere.
yes. So it's those type of things that, again, YouTube, my washing machine's not working. There's some sort of trap that traps that stuff, so it doesn't go all the way through the system and into your plumbing. So those type of things, again, you could probably name different things in the house and around the house, and you're like, I could probably tell you like, oh, if you do this, oh, if you do that. It's those type of things that instead of, do I throw stuff away? Most definitely. Yeah, I'll use the example again of printers. Sometimes the cartridges are more expensive than buying a new printer.
Yeah.
So I've done it. I've just bought a new printer and got rid of the old one. So there has to be a frugal piece to it. Is it worth doing?
Right.
If it's not worth doing, I'm not going to go, like I'll use the example of a propane grill.
Ah,
I they don't seem to last very long like they once did, and I don't like use them hard. It's not like I'm grilling 365 days a year, but I seem to only get 3 or 4 years out of them, and then they're rusting through and everything else. Maybe I don't clean it enough. I don't know, but the elements, the tubes and stuff that the gas comes out of and everything, to replace all those in a 4 burner grill costs as much as a grill in some cases.
right.
So you have to decide, is it worth replacing those pieces, or can I buy a whole new grill? And sometimes, yeah, I'll use the example. I went this winter when no one's buying grills
That's
and
the
bought
best time.
a brand new grill all in the box for $50. The elements for the other one were going to cost me 70. Now, 70 versus the 150 to 200 for a new grill usually, okay, maybe 70 is a good idea. But when I can buy it for $20 cheaper than the entire grill, the
Right.
entire grill for $50, I bought two and gave one to my son. So it's one of those type of things that, that's a ridiculous price. You can't pass that up, but you need to be looking at it when maybe it's not in season.
Let me ask you this. This came up in my head as we were talking. Why don't people want to fix things? I mean, is it is it fashionable not to fix things? Like what, why would you not want to do that?
I think that it comes down to the old conversation about needs and wants.
Uh,
No one wants to keep something that's old. And I'll preface that it can be 3 days old and it broke. I don't really want. Now you get upset because that should be under warranty and you go and get the
right,
replacement.
right,
But yeah, I think it comes down to if I've had that something for a year or 2 years or 3 years and it stops working, you get this imagination going in your head of, oh, that new lawnmower I saw the other day is so much better than this one that just broke. And I
right,
say broke, it's not dead,
right.
maybe not yet, but it's broke. And so I used that example in an earlier call that we had where I got a whole new lawnmower and all it was the gas was turned off. There was a switch to turn the gas off. They bought a new lawnmower. They told me that. They said that we took it out for the spring and tried to start it, wouldn't start. We just put it out here at the road free. You can take it. We don't want it.
Right.
So I picked it up. I brought it home. I read the instructions on how you actually start this mower because they're not all the same.
Right.
And when I read the instructions, it said there should be a shutoff valve. So I went and turned the lovely red knob and then primed it. And one pull started right up, and I still have the mower.
I think that your conversation is fascinating because getting something new is cherished with us, but at the same time, there are, I mean, people with classic cars, people who love antiques, people who have, vintage, whatever that thing is. And yes, some of those things aren't necessarily broken. But I mean, classic cars, that's a lot of maintenance and money to keep a car going to make it become a classic. I mean, that's not a like every man's kind of a hobby. That can be very, very costly. And so it's that funky place that I think we find ourselves in, of wanting it new or thinking the vintage is so cool. I mean, I know people who live in more in urban places where they really have a very small lot, and having a power mower is still very prestigious in their neighborhood, and they got a push mower that you can see the blades on, the kind that spin like an old school hay baler. And okay, I said old school hay baler because Todd and I both know that reference. Sorry, didn't mean to make that a strange reference for those of you out there. And they got it for like $5 at a garage sale. They watched a video on how to sharpen the blades, and it's the best lawnmower they ever had. And
Yep.
now neighbors are like, oh, look at you. You're so vintage.
Well, it's not
It's
just
fascinating.
when I say new, it could be new to you. So it's those type of things. It doesn't have to be brand new. Shiny is shiny, whether it's brand spanking new or just new to you. Like if I go buy a new car, most of the time I'm not buying a brand new car. I'm driving off the lot. I'm buying another used car from somebody else or from a lot. But I think there is something about our mindset that we always, something that we don't have now and we're now acquiring it, it goes a long way in our mind. It's satisfying. It's satisfying. Not saying the other part is it's very satisfying if you have a muscle car or something, that upkeep piece and being able to show that off. I just don't think there's too many people that are going to do that with my lovely laser printer over here. The upkeep is just a bear. So
Right. And I mean, you get to that place, and sorry that my dog's barking. You get to that place where, oh, I thought she would stop. You get to that place where you're like, you can't even buy parts for this anymore.
right. So yeah, I think this is just one of those type of things. Like I'll you go back to the example of the lawnmower piece. If I had a lawnmower like that lawnmower I got, when that lawnmower stops working, I'm going to take it to the metal place and get someone to pay me to take it off my hands. So I'm glad that person didn't do that because I got a good lawnmower. But it's one of those type of things that I don't believe in. I want to recycle it, and if I can get rid of something and you pay me, I'm more than happy to take your money for it. And the metal places, they'll take that lawnmower. Will I get $5? Probably not even, unless I strip it all down and do the individual components. But if I just wheel it over there, they're going to give me probably a couple bucks. But if I put it at the road with my trash, I might have to put a sticker on it that I had to pay money for them to pick it up. So in the turnaround, I could have saved a lot of money. And yeah, right now outside, I have a pile of metal stuff that I'll be taking to the place here shortly in the near future, and I'll get paid my $20 or less probably. I'm redoing my barn, and they're taking all the electrical wires out. I will take all those wires over, and I'll probably get a few $100s for those electrical wires, and they're trash. So most people would just bind them up, throw them in a bag, and throw them away. I take them over there, and it's those type of things that I'm fixing. I'm fixing it. The barn needs fixing, so it's being fixed. But to be cognizant in the process that you can fix something, and also you could get something in return in this process.
Yeah. And you've really done an excellent job of showing us how being frugal benefits you in multiple ways. And we've talked about this, I think, every single time, that being frugal does not mean you're a cheapskate. Being frugal means you're conscious of your spending habits and saving habits, and you're being intentional about your purchases rather than look at the money I have and doing all of those kinds of things. Right. You're just making it rain. Right. And I think that's where it comes down to. And you've told us 100 times, if it's a habit and you do it, it'll be easier. And it takes a while to create that habit so that it's real in you. It's not just New Year's resolution and January 3rd, I'm back eating cheesecake every day. I mean, that's not, you didn't make that a habit, whatever your thing was, clearly diet or whatever. But you're right. And I think that's what it's about. If fixing becomes your habit, then you will fix things.
Or at least attempt to.
Yeah. And it's right. I mean, we're not saying you gotta, travel to New Mexico to find the closest TV repair guy.
And like the example you used earlier, like I'm having my barn rewired.
Yep.
I'm having an electrician come out and rewire the barn.
Right.
I like I said, I'm frugal, right. But I am not an electrician. Yeah. When there's a job that needs to be done professionally, now, do I need to pay him to pull all the old wires out? No. Which I could. Right. It was, but I said, well, don't worry about the old wires. You run the new wires. I'll take care of the old wires. And they're happy too, because it's a lot of extra mind-numbing work for them. Yep. To just be pulling out all this wire. Yep. Where I can just do that myself. I do it in sections and follow them. They're going to do this room. I'm going to take it all out, and they're going to put all new in. So it's those type of things that demolition in the barn for the other stuff. I could have paid the contractor $6,000 to break stuff. But I'm good at breaking stuff. So, and I can carry debris to a dumpster or whatever. I'm okay with that. I've been certified, but
we did
those
that
type of things.
We did that with when we got new carpet. They were going to charge a fee to remove the old carpet.
Right.
And I was like, well, that's dumb. And I'd never tried taking out carpet before. Let's just say it's pretty cleansing to your soul when you can rip carpet out, because you get in there, man, you're doing stuff. And it was, I loved that I chose to make that part of my experience rather than having other people do that. I mean, I couldn't lay carpet. Right. I am not certified in that. That's a whole other specialty. But as far as removal, yeehaw, I was happy to do it. And I called, and I guess this was frugal and I didn't even think about it. I called my garbage collector and I said, hey, I'm pulling out my own carpet. Can we come to an agreement about how we're going to do this? I said, how can I do it so that it's good for you so that you're not mad? And he said, if you roll it into pieces that a regular person can pick up, like not 7-foot lengths that are 200 pounds. And I was like, yeah, because I can't do that anyway. Of course, I'm going to do it the way you just suggested. He goes, if you do that and you put out like 3 or 4 every time, he said, I won't charge you.
Right.
And normally, there's like, every garbage guy's got a rule and you can't put this out and you can only put this out on Tuesdays and this has to go to the whatever. And he said, if you do it nice, he goes, no one ever calls and asks that.
Yeah.
He said, because you did, we're not going to charge you for that.
Yep.
And I know that would have been $100, $200 or more that I would have gotten charged from my garbage guy.
Well, you have to think about it. Taking it to the dump, whether you have one item or like a whole truck worth of items, it's $35 to $40.
Right.
For a load. So yeah, if you bring a couch, it's going to be $35. If you bring a whole truckload of little stuff, it's the same $35.
Right.
But see, the other thing is, and this is what drives my wife crazy, I'm sure sometimes, like a couch is made out of like fabric.
Yeah.
When I lived in town in the city, I couldn't just, well, I could just throw the couch out there and put the sticker on it that you paid for and they'll take it. But did you know that you can throw a whole sofa away in trash bags? Because if you break it down in small enough pieces, you can go anywhere. So
Right. You can take the
I
cushions out. You can have fun with your sledgehammer or a sawzall, or that you could borrow from somebody else and not have to buy one and all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So I completely dismantled them, and the metal piece that was inside went to the metal, and the wood part we burned. Little fire and not at our house, but someone else's house that could burn it, and then all the material just got stuck in bags and put out at the street. So I got rid of an entire sofa and didn't actually got paid to do it because I got metal money. Again, could have been a few bucks. It was a sleep sofa, so I had that huge metal thing in there,
Yeah.
and it weighed a decent amount. Now I do know you need to have a truck or a van or something to take something that big in, but yeah, those are the type of things that you don't think about. And there's a way around it. I always try to find a way to make money, especially if I'm getting rid of my job.
Well, and even when you talk about if you have to haul something, I don't have a big vehicle, but I have friends,
Yep.
and you can, and even if they're colleagues, pizza and beer go a long way, or sushi rolls. It doesn't matter what you feed them. If you feed somebody, they'll let you borrow the truck or whatever, or they'll come help you or do that kind of thing. And that's, I mean, anybody who's been a poor college student and has had to move, that's just how the universe works. So you're right. Oh, Todd, every time I think I say this every time too. Every time we talk, it's about the little things that add up. And that's what this is about. Can you fix it is not about changing the universe. It's about those little things along the way. And if you chose to track that on a spreadsheet, which you can, and I have friends who do, you could say, I saved this much doing this. I saved this much doing this. I saved this much doing this. That's money that you can then say, if I saved that, now I can have this chunk of money, $500 or whatever your amount is, that you can invest, save, put in the fund that we talked about before, like a vacation fund at a credit union, or pay a bill, do those kinds of things. And I think that, the point of these interviews is not to sell you on a service. That's not what we're talking about. If we were, we would be talking about different things. This is about how regular people can make it work when life is not perfect.
Yep. No, I agree. I try to find any way I can. I don't want to waste anything.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing, is I feel it's wasteful for certain things, but you the best.
Right.
If you're just not going to do it, then that's fine, and we
Right.
can move on. But even if you adopt one little thing, then yeah, I remember years ago when I used to sell computers and cell phones and different things. I was a salesperson, and someone would say, well, if I buy this computer, it's going to be obsolete by the time I get it out of the box at home. I said, well, it's obsolete when it stops doing what you need it to do.
Right.
If you're that person that all you're going to do is check your email every day, and that's all you're going to use this computer for, it's not going to go obsolete for quite a long time.
Right.
If you're my son who's doing high-end gaming, yeah, this is not the product for you, and yeah, it could be obsolete by the time you get it out of the box.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you have something and maybe it doesn't work just right, is it obsolete yet? And when it is, then yeah, there is a place to break ties and say, okay, I'm done. I'm done trying to make it work, and
Right.
I'm going to buy something new.
Right.
And I always say new doesn't mean brand new.
Right.
New to you. I love Craigslist. Getting stuff on there. I do it. I haven't picked something up since COVID started. I guess I got some free stuff I went and picked up, but But yeah, I check the free page on Craigslist for Lancaster County almost every day.
Wow. Wow.
And something will catch my eye, and I'll send an email, and they'll say, sorry, it's gone. No big deal. Or they'll say, yeah, if you want to pick it up, it'll be on my porch. And it's a little less contact than if you're buying something and you have to give them money and
Right.
you have to, and you want to probably check it out more than because you are giving money for it. But yeah, it's those type of things that I'll leave you with this one thing, because I know I didn't put this in any of our other talks. And Kelly, I don't know if you've got on this website before. PA Unclaimed Property.
Ooh, I have not.
I love this website. It's for every state. So you can, Kelly, I know you've lived in different states like I have. So you might have to check your name in multiple states.
Yeah.
But there's an unclaimed, this has really nothing to do with fixing it, but it could fix a problem that you have, is if you've ever changed jobs, if you've ever had any type of insurance claims, and if you've ever moved, there could be money sitting somewhere in one of these accounts waiting for you. I had a friend of mine that goes to church with me, and she was having problems sleeping. So she was on the PA Unclaimed Property website, and she typed in my name. She was typing everybody's name from church. She was just typing their names in, and she sent emails to all of us. She said, your name's on here, and it says it usually says either over $100 or under $100. That's it. So if it says over 100, it could be $1 million or it could be $101. But it just tells you if there's any money there for you that the state is holding. And sure enough, I had left a job, and they disputed that they weren't going to pay me for my vacation time. And I went back and forth with them, and then they said they were going to, but they never did. At least I never received it. Well, sure enough, somehow it got sent to the state, because they can only hold it for so long, and then they have to give it to the state
Right.
as unclaimed property. So I had a $500 and some odd check from a previous employer. I applied for it, and it took about 12 months before I actually received it, but it came right around Christmas time, and I got a Christmas bonus because my friend had saw my name on here. So I try to do that with as many people that I run into, to say, hey, go on here and type your name in, and guess what? It's addicting, because then you'll be like, oh, let's check my mom.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm gonna look at my schedule, because guess what I'm doing for the next 20 minutes or so.
Yep. Yeah, so you had to stay to the end of this one to get that tip.
For the super extra bonus plan. That's wonderful. Oh, Todd, thank you again so much. This has been awesome. Todd and I had planned to just do a few minutes on Can You Fix It, but we're old pals, so there's lots of things we can chat about. Thank you, everybody, and we will talk again. Bye-bye.